You're watching CT23 with Eric Parker.
Welcome back. Reduced ridership means reduced funding for the Shoreline East rail service running from New Haven to New London with stops along Connecticut's coast. The impact of those cuts is a concern to many, including Jim Gildea, chairman of the Connecticut Commuter Rail Council. He joins us by Zoom this morning. Jim, thank you for being with us. I want to start with what the practical effect is. As you heard this news, I know your organization put out a statement saying you were extremely disappointed with the budget. What does it mean for commuters?
Really, I think it goes much farther than just what the impact on commuters, but certainly for the day-to-day commuter, their commuting options are going to be devastated. There'll be no more midday trains. In addition to the commuters, in addition to getting them to their places of employment, this is bad for the economy. This is bad for the environment. This puts cars on the road, and this makes us less competitive as a state.
We've seen some of the numbers for ridership, and they certainly are down compared to pre-pandemic levels. What do you attribute that to? Is it people just working from home a few days a week? I mean, is there hope that this will come back, or is this a permanent change?
I just want to qualify that. Ridership numbers are significantly worse for the Shoreline East because that is the only rail line in the state of Connecticut that did not get 100% service. And any person in transportation knows Transportation 101 is frequent service builds ridership. The New Haven line got 100% service, the Danbury line got 100% service, the Hartford line got 100% service, and the Waterbury branch got 144% service. So of course the riders came back quicker than the Shoreline East.
But do you think that the only way to solve this is by putting more trains out there? Is that the only thing that saves the day?
Yes, I'll give you just a perfect example, Eric. The Waterbury branch actually has less riders than the Shoreline East. They were given 44% additional service, 7 extra daily trains. They're the only branch in the state of Connecticut that has exceeded. Get that. In December, they exceeded their pre-COVID ridership numbers. Because again, if you provide service, riders will come. But because on the Shoreline East, there's like an attempt to force zoning and to get more housing closer to the train stations, they were never given the opportunity to build a ridership base.
Well, as I said,
it's not really that much more.
As I said, you put out a statement after the governor's budget, or after the budget was passed and the governor signed it. We had the governor on this show last Sunday, and I asked him about Shoreline East because that was one of the big cuts in his budget. I want to take a look at what he had to say.
Well, for Shoreline East, it's pretty empty during the middle of the day. Not much there on Fridays, even Mondays. So we had to scale that back a little bit, redeploy those resources. But as I told Christine Cohen and all the advocates, let's get some more housing in and around the rail stations, up and down the Shoreline East, coastal area. And when we see the demand, we'll provide the rail.
So you hear him say he told the chairwoman of the Transportation Committee that if we see the demand, we'll provide the rail. You seem to think that that's, I guess, cart before the horse, not to make a transportation pun. Is that just the wrong way to look at it?
Absolutely. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with that logic. If you're a developer, if you want to build houses, if you want to invest in a community, the last community you're going to invest in is a community that just devastated the rail line. Waterbury branch line, conversely, got the service first. Now you see apartments going up in downtown Ansonia. You see apartments going up in Derby. You simply cannot devastate a rail line and then cross your fingers and hope that the developers will come on the promise that there may be service someday.
Now, your frustration with this and obviously your role with the Commuter Rail Council, it's obvious how frustrated you are. But writing in the Connecticut Mirror this past week, Jim Cameron, their transportation columnist, he asked the question, what can we do to save the trains? And his answer was nothing. It's too late. It's over. Do you agree with his assessment?
Oh, yeah, this is fait accompli, really. Everything that comes after this is just punching a card, checking a box. There'll be some type of public hearings, but the budget's set. I mean, really, the process is broken. You would think the public hearings would come before they set the budget. So Jim Cameron is absolutely right. Everything that comes now is just a dog and pony show. The cuts are going to happen.
So what if people are watching this? And I mean, I've ridden the Shoreline East. I know a lot of other people have, never to commute, but I've gone places on the train for sure. And other people who are watching who like that service, what do you want them to do? What's the takeaway from this interview then, Jim?
The budget process is twofold. The governor proposes a budget, the Appropriations Committee, and then the General Assembly adopts a budget. So what I would tell you is this. We need our commuters to contact their legislators directly. Because let's not forget, it's not just the governor. All the legislators voted for the budget, right? They voted for the budget cuts. So we need our commuters to get in touch with their legislators along that line and really let them know how important it is to them. Nothing moves a legislator as quick as election day nerves. So we got to get our commuters involved for certain.
And let's just talk generally about rail. We focus so much on Shoreline East. You've mentioned some of the other branches, Waterbury and other things, but I know in addition to slowing the number of trains, cutting back on service, there's also talk from the MTA that they're going to be hiking rates. So not only will there be less options in some places, but also more expensive depending on where you're going. Just generally, are you concerned that there's going to the hits just keep coming for rail commuting?
I do think that there'll be some fare increases. I think on the New Haven line, I think that's to be expected. I mean, if you want some level of service, you have to pay for it. But I would actually tell you the same thing, Eric. If you asked anybody on the Shoreline East, hey, would you rather us raise your fares or would you rather decimate all of your commuting options? I think 80% of them easy would say, hey, listen, raise our fares. Don't take our rail service away. It's actually a no-brainer.
So we only have about 30 seconds left. If people want to find out more, if they're commuters by rail, they want to help your group or join your group, how do they find you?
They can reach, they can Google us, Connecticut Commuter Rail Council. We have a website, we have a Twitter page, Facebook page. We're out there, and we certainly want to advocate on your behalf. Thank you.
All right. Well, we're glad we were able to give you some time to bring that message, and we'll keep watching what happens. Jim Gildea from the Connecticut Commuter Rail Council, thank you for being with us here on CT23.
Thank you, Eric.
Coming up later in the show, the Hartford Yard Goats later this week will be honoring baseball's Negro Leagues as part of their Juneteenth celebrations. One all-star player back in the 30s and 40s grew up in Hartford. The daughter of Johnny Schoolboy Taylor is here to talk about her dad. That's coming up next in our Sunday Spotlight.